Hey, Shalom, this is Dan. I am out on my porch. It's a beautiful morning. Nice and cool still. I decided to come out here and just shoot the breeze with you, since there's a nice breeze blowing anyway, right? But anyway, I wanted to share with you something that I had read that really got me thinking about my responses. You know, when my kids ask me to do something, I have a response that I can give. When my wife asks me to do something, I give a response. When God asks me to do something, what's my response? I was reading in the book of Exodus, and we probably all know the story about Moses and the burning bush. But to give you a little background here, so here's Moses. He has already escaped from Egypt. He's estimated to be about 40 years old or so when he runs away from Egypt, and he goes and lives with Jethro's family. Later on, takes Jethro's daughter as his bride. But there's a story where he's out there in the wilderness and he sees a bush that is burning, but it's not consumed, and he goes up to it. Well, when he gets there, this bush, again, it's consumed, but it's burning, but it's not consumed. And the bush speaks to him and says, "Moses, Moses." And the response that we read in the Bible is, "Here I am." Well, when I was a kid, whenever I used to say to the teacher, "Here I am," it's because she was taking roll call, right? You know, Johnny, Jim, Dan, here, you know, here I am. But that word in the Hebrew is the word Hineni, and it means something a little bit deeper. Hineni means, here I am, ready to listen, ready to respond, ready to obey. See, Moses didn't know what this voice was really that was talking to him, and maybe he had some idea that it was God, but all he knows is that this bush is speaking to him and is calling his name. And his response, without knowing anything more, his response is, "Here I am, Lord, ready to listen, ready to respond, ready to obey." He doesn't know what the bush is going to ask him to do. He doesn't know. For all we know, the bush could have said, "Okay, thanks for coming up here, Moses, I'm going to smite you." Right? It didn't do that. Moses responded in a faith and in a sincerity, saying, "I'm here. I'm ready to respond. I'm ready to obey. I'm ready to do whatever you ask me to do, whoever you are." Now, it's in this conversation with God that he reveals himself as being Yahweh. But before all this is even known, the Bible just tells us he said, "Here I am." That same word, Hineni, it's used in at least two other instances in the Bible. If you go actually back to Genesis, and you have Abraham who is about to sacrifice his son, and Isaac is on the altar, and Abraham takes his knife or sword, whatever he was going to use there, and he's about to sacrifice his son, and he hears God's voice say, "Abraham," and his response is, "Yes, Lord." That's what we read in the Bible, but the response really is Hineni, and he stops almost like mid-sentence. He stops mid-strike. He's like, "Here I am, God. I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to obey. I'm ready to respond." And what happens? He doesn't have to sacrifice his son after all. God says, "Abraham, I know that you fear me, and because of that, we're good." And he hears a ram in the background, and they end up sacrificing the ram instead. But another time that this same word, Hineni, is used is in Isaiah. And it's that passage where God, it says that in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple, and it's talking about this, and then there's this coal that touches the lips, and God says, "Who will I send? Who will go for me?" And the response that we hear the prophet say is, "I will go, send me. Here I am, Lord, send me." And it's the same word, Hineni. Here I am. God, I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to respond. I'm ready to obey. I will go where you tell me to go. I'll stay where you tell me to stay. We used to sing this song back when I was at the vineyard. You know, where you lead, I will follow. Where you send me, I will go. It's the same type thing almost. But Isaiah was saying, here I am. I'm ready to listen, I'm ready to respond, I'm ready to obey. All three of these men, they gave the same response, and look at their lives. All three of their lives changed. Why? Because they obeyed God at whatever the cost was. Abraham didn't have to kill his son. Moses delivered tons of people out of Egypt. Isaiah became a prophet to go to the nations that people didn't want to go to deliver the message that people didn't want to deliver. But they all gave that same response, Hineni. As I think about my responses, how do I respond? Like I said, my kids ask me to do stuff, I respond a certain way. My wife asks me to do things, I respond a certain way. When God asks me to do something, what is my response? When he even just calls my name like he did Moses, what is my response? Is it, yes, Lord, here I am, I'm ready to listen, I'm ready to respond, I'm ready to obey? Or is it, what now? Or is it, I'll do it, but none of these guys, none of them ever said, I'm ready to listen, I'm ready to respond, I'm ready to obey, but there was no but. They did it. They responded to God, not knowing what God was fully asking them to do, but they responded. That they were ready to listen, to obey, to respond. How are we responding to God? I wish that I could say that that's my answer every time, but there are times when I hear God speaking and I'm not liking what he's saying. I don't want to respond positively with that. I want to kind of do my own thing. I still suffer sometimes with just being selfish. But God is looking for us to respond with the word Hineni. And that's the challenge that he's been giving me. Not knowing what's coming up, or at least not in full, my answer has to be, God, I am ready to do whatever you are asking me to do. He's not taking roll, but he's looking for those who are going to say, Hineni. I am ready to listen, ready to respond, ready to obey. Is that your response? I'm trying hard to make it my response, no matter what God says, because I want to obey him, and I'm sure you do too. We want to obey God. It's in our nature to please him. So maybe the best way that we can please him today is just by saying, God, I'm here for you. Do what you want me to do. Show me where you want me to go. Lead me where you want me to go. Hineni, I'm ready to listen to you, to respond to you, and obey you. Let's let that be our response today. Shalom.